Hi everybody, Jason said my name is Cedric Kennedy and I am a co-founder for Makerhub. Adam Weber, sitting over there, he's our lead chief designer of the application itself. What we found with 3D printing, which I'm sure you all heard of, is that although it's extremely exciting, we've been told that it's going to revolutionize industries across the world, that it's going to be the future of prototyping and manufacturing, it still remains relatively disappointing. It's very time consuming. There's a lot of maintenance involved with machining these 3D printers, and professional grade 3D printers are actually very, very expensive. But 3D printing still can be used for certain applications. And where it shines is for one-off and highly customized parts, such as prototyping through research and development. And that's who exactly we're going to be targeting, are small and medium-sized firms who are in need of one-off and highly customized prototypes. So right now, when you look out into the market, there seems to be another problem with the current services that exist. The current services, what we have found, are that they are not integrating enough messaging between the client themselves and their actual service. Because when an order is being placed for a 3D printed part, oftentimes there's a lot of things that need to be changed, a lot of it needs to be because they're highly customized. Now what we've done is we've created an application that streamlines this process. And we've built a network of over 500 makers that we have partnered with around the country that have access to over 200 million people within 15 miles of their 3D printer. What this does, it allows us to localize our service around the world, which reduces our lead times on every order, and most times eliminates shipping costs, if not at least just reduces it greatly. These are the makers that we have already established partnerships with in the United States. This was actually about a month ago, so it's not completely updated. And this is what we've got worldwide so far. Now, how does Makerhub really work? So we have two different approaches. First, you can simply upload any standard 3D model, and then we find a maker that's local to you, and we connect you with that maker, we begin that process. Or you can submit a proposal to a project. For instance, if you don't have a 3D model, we find a designer within our network in order to begin that process. And we make that connection, and we work alongside you the entire way. Lastly, you receive an order through a pickup or local shipping. Now the market opportunity is pretty great. What you can't see here are a bunch of other 3D printers. The lighting, you can't really see it. But there are over 200 3D printers right now worldwide that are only being utilized about 5% of their entire life, which equates to about $14 billion in a lost opportunity. And how we calculated that was we took our average cost order, and multiplied it by the amount of orders that could be placed within 50% of their total capacity if being used. And we took it at 50%, we could generate $20 million in revenue with the 500 printers that we currently have on our network. Now the revenue structure is pretty simple. For every order that that's placed through our order, we take about 12.5% of every order. We've also recently established affiliate partnerships with 3 major companies, including IC3D, which we've visited several times, who we're working with closely, MataHackers, and ColorFab. We've also had integrated advertisements for 3D printing sites that are selling printers and the supplies and the plastic that's used for these 3D printers themselves. Now, there's plenty of competition. Anything with 3D printing, there are thousands of competitors. With the service industry itself, we have set ourselves apart with this crowdsourcing approach. Now, there are other crowdsourcing approach competitors. And what we found is that their service is lacking. One, I already talked about the messaging system, but most recently with 3D Hubs, we found a post that one day it said 3D Hubs is dead. And what we found out was that they eliminated about 90% of their makers within their site. And overnight, when we heard that, we put a post on Reddit and we gained over 300 makers within our network that evening, just by making a couple simple posts and answering a few questions. Now, working closely with this community, we found out where a lot of their pain points were, what they needed within this service in order to make it easier for them, and ask them what were some of the success factors that they use when working with some of the clients. Many of the people within our network are actually making real livings just simply 3D printing for local companies around them right now, who are looking to build upon their small business. We've got feedback validation, so what we did was we built our application. We weren't actually planning on even releasing our beta until later this year, but when we saw that post, we thought, let's get something out right away, something very simple, and we'll just build this application along the way. So we built an online Trello board where we communicated with everybody who was interested in our site, and everything that we integrated into our site, we validated it with our customers, we changed it as it was needed. Lastly, Makerhub does offer more. We offer more in terms of the messaging system. We offer more in terms of we work closely with both sides of our party, and we offer more where our quote system is, we really worked hard on our quote system where we are actually right now providing the lowest cost for 3D printed parts. Now, we haven't decided if we're going to stay on the low end of the spectrum yet, because our target customer are going to be small to medium-sized R&D firms, and we're looking at upping up our charge on that. Financial projections, this isn't starting now. This is after we're finished with our beta and we actually release it publicly to around the world. We won't go too much into this right now. But a roadmap, we released our beta on November 1st. In 2 short weeks, we're going to be releasing our second version of it. If you visit our site right now, it looks a little rough. It's going to look beautiful in about 2 weeks. We were thinking about releasing it today just because so you could look at it, but we were still working on a couple bugs. We've begun working on a mobile application development in order to make it easier so that you can begin taking orders right on your phone. So a lot of people with 3D printers are sitting in their room at home and they're at work. They can take orders on their phone and begin their 3D print right there from their office. And then a continuous release cycle, which we've been doing all this time. Current roadblocks, we have a lot of people within our network who are currently 3D printing, but we don't have a lot of people who are buying, purchasing orders yet. That's because most of our focus wasn't on that customer acquisition in terms of the buyers at this point yet, but now this new year, that's our sole focus. And then the time and organization, we do have a full team. We've got 5 developers, Michigan Tech, who are full-time students, also have part-time jobs within the community and are working part-time on Makerhub. And then I've got a full-time position here at Michigan Tech, and I'm working on part-time, working with sales and marketing. Partnerships, we're working on 3D printing, but there's many different forms of fabrication and manufacturing which we can look into as we grow and scale. We're currently raising roughly $50,000 in our soft round of funding. We've raised about $15,000 so far, and we got some leads for a few other people so that we can expand our brand and our awareness around the country. And for the community itself, what we are looking for is we're looking for more mentorship. As a business student within Business School at Michigan Tech, one thing that we weren't really taught was actually how to do sales, how to acquire those customers. And we're looking for mentors who can help us with that, build upon that network. And we're also looking at Michigan Tech and within the community, a lot of people are in need of prototypes. And we could make that work, come up with some success stories to promote around the country. That is Makerhub, and I'm open up to any questions. Thank you.
Hi, Cedric. Have you done any work to profile the existing orders and see, maybe using Ashley's services, see where those buyers are coming from, and maybe how you could reach them through advertising channels or get more people like them who are actually purchasing orders to make it?
Sure, we have started. So actually what we have done is within our community, we do have a lot of professional services. For instance, IC3D is one of them. They're down in Columbus, Ohio, which we've seen a couple times. And they've grown a pretty decent sized company just for a 3D printing service. So we've talked to them, we're working closely with them. The one thing that they're missing is this IT side of things. We're working with helping them with that. In return, they're working and helping us with how to acquire those leads for buying clients, for purchasing clients. And from there, what we've learned and what we've done at this point in time is we literally just went on to engineering firm directories, started at A and just made an Excel spreadsheet and called all the way down and asked simple questions. Are you using 3D printing for anything within your company? Can you use it? Are you expecting to use it? Why aren't you using it? And through those questions, we have found about 30 to 40% of them are interested in using 3D printing or aren't at this point in time and would be interested in the service. The one thing that we have found, however, is that the brokerage fees that are associated with this, basically we are acting as a brokerage, we're connecting one party to another, is putting off some companies. They want to avoid the fees. So what we're doing now is we're trying to re-pivot that and make it look like they're not just finding a random person next to them, they're finding a Makerhub employee that's next to them. We're not going to show them that the brokerage fees, they're just partnering with Makerhub themselves. So we're learning through the established brands out there already that we're working with helping them on the IT side of things. So.
Is your main focus on engineering companies, or are you going to branch out?
Right now it is on small emerging engineering companies. We will branch out. We have done a few orders here locally. We have done several orders around the country right now. But right now it seems that right there's a big need for it, just because the time and maintenance involved with a professional grade 3D printer for an engineering firm. One, the investment's great for just a one-off part, where they could simply just find someone next to them or within their community to print that for them for a much, much lower cost for their return. If for any reason we were to have a big order of 500 to 1,000 parts, which we had an order for 500 at one point, we were able to use the community itself to work together in order to fill that order. Yes?
Curious if you have a relationship with Independence Community College in Independence, Kansas.
What was the last part?
It's Independence, Kansas. They've got a really good 3D printing operation there. They're starting to, I know they've been reaching out to local manufacturing within that particular region based on the economic development involved there. Jim Correll is the guy there that you might want to talk with. I mean,
Okay.
certainly maybe an opportunity if you're not in that region.
We have not been in touch with them. We have reached out in Kansas. I think we have one maker in Kansas actually, but do you get that? And I'm Jim Corral.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Yes.
So if you compare a company that's in Minnesota that wants a part with a maker in Minnesota, they make that part. Once those two have made contact, does that kind of mean they don't need you anymore for a future part?
Right, so that's something that we're trying to work past right now. So what we're doing right now is we're branding it as we are Makerhub, and they are a company of Makerhub. So when they establish we're contracted with these guys. I know there's nothing to stop us. We can't go out there and visit each person and make sure that they're not doing that. But they are signing non-competes, and in order to say that they're not going to be competing with Makerhub, they're going to stay with Makerhub, and that they are a member of Makerhub. And what we've done with that too is we put them through a pretty lengthy process in order to become a part of our team now. And in order to, they have to provide proof that they know how to 3D print, proof of their 3D printers, and some of these 3D printing services too. We've actually visited some of the locations themselves to actually validate who they are and what they're doing, in addition to other paperwork and whatnot. So that is a huge threat that we are juggling right now, and we're trying to rack our brains on how we can prevent that from happening in the future. So. Yes.
Hey, Cedric, how does the pricing work? So I might have missed this, but do you provide the prices or do the makers provide the prices?
So we do provide the price initially. Now this is actually one thing that we've tried to work towards in order to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. Right now, if you go on to 3D Hubs or Sculpteo or any of these other sites and you upload a quote, you're getting an initial quote. It doesn't actually necessarily mean it's this final cost, but they overestimate right in the beginning, which oftentimes scares a lot of people. Their click-through rate is pretty low. So what we've done is we've taken other factors. So most of these factors in this quote system take into account the time that's associated with a 3D printer. Unfortunately, if you're going to charge for a 38-hour print and you're just based it on time, you're going to get a very expensive quote. So we eliminated time basically altogether. So we chosen range of times, then several other factors that occur during the 3D printing cycle itself. And we offer a much lower quote, but that quote can be adjusted by the maker. It can also be negotiated between the maker and the buyer, so that can be an optimal price for both sides of the party. And there's also, which kind of turns it almost into a bidding process. So when a proposal is proposed by a company saying this is what I need, it gets added to a master list basically, and any local maker can see that list of what are the current projects that are available, and they can bid on that project. So it typically evens out, and the cost is ultimately reduced in the end. Yes.
Are you working with metallic 3D printers too, or just the plastics, ceramic, different?
So right now we're actually only working on with plastic 3D printing, and simply because that's the lower end spectrum of the market. And we really wanted to perfect our service and make sure that it was going to work going into the future before we work into other materials, like metal materials, and what we are seeing as the future of 3D printing. And once we're ready for that, then we'll move into those territories as well. Absolutely. Yes?
How do you recruit to the makers for your network?
So actually, the first way we did it, we couldn't believe how successful it was, is we simply just put a couple posts on Reddit. One day we saw a title said 3D Hubs is dead. And 3D Hubs selected 50 of their makers within their site and started feeding the majority of their orders to those 50 makers. The other 99% of their makers were left behind. And there was just a huge, thousands of comments about how upset this community was. So we put on there, well, I talked to Adam, said, Adam, we need to get something in a week. Just put something simple. So we put on there and said, hey, come back next week. We've got Makerhub. It's going to be up and going. It's going to be an alternative to 3D hubs. Overnight, we had about a little less than 300 people join our site. From there, we've really worked hard with social media. What we found is this is a community of people who want to showcase what they're currently doing and what they're working on. If you go onto 3D Hub's Instagram or Facebook, you're going to see posts that are not related to their company. You're going to see outdated posts that never worked. We're working closely with every single person who is within our site. I've even gone to the length of actually visiting with some of our makers around the country and meeting them and asking them, how can I help you? And we really want to work closely with them and build that community. We think our strength is going to be within the community. We can provide them what they want, which is what the others aren't.
As a follow-up, is there a criteria that you have for those makers?
Yes.
So anybody can join, or do you say you must meet our expectations? How do you control the quality of what you produce?
Sure, that's a great question. So yes, we do. We have a process right in the beginning. So when you sign up as a maker, you must provide us evidence that you know how to 3D print. And we have a standard 3D print that we provide them, and then they provide us the evidence that they printed it. So if you can print our part that we presented to you, we know that you can 3D print. And then also, furthermore, every order, after each order, there's a two-way review. Not only is the maker being reviewed, but so is the buyer, the ability to work with them. So hopefully that's going to help with the quality. And then if you do, for any reason, get to below a certain rating, we will freeze your account or find out what's going on and try to fix that. Lastly, we also have 9 3D printers ourselves. So for any reason, anything goes wrong, our company is just very dissatisfied, we can print that part and send it overnight, just for quality assurance purposes. And that's the other thing that other companies are doing, is they have their own printer farm, and they're taking larger and more expensive orders for themselves so they can optimize the profits. And then they give all the little things to their community. We don't take any orders, period. The only orders we take are for quality assurance purposes. Yeah, yes?
Who runs your finances?
I do. Yes. So we have a lot of developers on our team who have been working on the site, and then myself, we have another gentleman who's working as an intern, kind of from Michigan Tech, and he's working with us at this point in time. He's a student, but he's going to be leaving soon. It's going to be me. I'm working on the business side of things. Yes.
Yeah, so you targeted engineers as your initial market. Yeah. Have you looked at the crafting market, like the Etsy world?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Actually, so that's another way we found a lot of makers, was I went onto Etsy, and I typed in 3D print, and then all of a sudden I saw 500 reviews for people who bought that 3D print. So I just made a list of about 200 and something people that were 3D printing on Etsy, and I contacted them individually. I just copy paste messages and got them to come to our site. And that is definitely that's been an amazing lead for us for finding buyers who are interested in parts for 3D printing. And the craft is going to be huge. I mean, one thing that just happened yesterday is that Amazon, we saw a post about Amazon, they just patented something with the 3D printing service. I haven't had time to fully read all about it, but that's my plan this week, which I think is kind of a crazy patent. But their focus was actually on craft type of items. So obviously there's something about that. We will be looking into that for sure. We really wanted to hone in on one